Hey guys, it's Joey. Finally getting around to my Spider-Man No Way Home review. Saw it Friday afternoon. Finally sitting down to do this review. This is going to be a spoiler review because there's so much juicy stuff to talk about. So if you haven't seen it yet, or if you want to stay free from spoilers, please don't watch this review because we're going to go into it. Right off the bat, I gotta say, Tom Holland and Zendaya, fantastic. Their chemistry is undeniable, unbeatable. Obviously, they're dating currently, so it translated super well to the big screen, to this movie in particular. There was a lot of pretty raw emotion. Tom Holland really brought it. Zendaya really brought it. The whole team, it just felt, it felt so cinematic. It felt so filmic. It felt so grounded and emotional and all this stuff. I felt the weight of what was happening to these characters, and it was really, I don't want to say surprising, but it felt different than a lot of the other Marvel stuff we get. I think the only thing that could be compared to this is probably Endgame, on an emotional level, because it just, you felt there was so much gravitas to all the stuff that happened in No Way Home, and there was just it was a very emotional movie for a lot of reasons. Just to kind of go from the beginning and kind of go through it, this whole like Peter freaking out thing that everybody knows his identity, going to Doctor Strange because it's starting to affect his actual life, and the life of the people that are kind of around him, including Ned and MJ. The things they had planned out for their life are kind of being rewritten a little bit, which isn't fun. It's not good for Peter Parker. Obviously, he cares a lot about his friends, so he wants them to be able to do the things they want to do, go to the college they want to, without their association to him getting in the way. And it does for a little while, until Peter kind of takes it into his own hands to try to get people to forget that he's Peter Parker, and he tries to keep some people out of that. But the spell goes wrong. Doctor Strange kind of bungles it a little bit and kind of opens the doorway to people that know Spider-Man is Peter Parker, and that ends up being what causes this leak of a lot of previous Spider-Man villains to come through, which is it's kind of a funny little take, a little sci-fi fantasy thing that goes on. You kind of have to roll with it. But when Alfred Molina, Doc Ock, comes in on the bridge, one of the best scenes in the movie. See it a lot in the trailer. Really like that fight. Really like that first interaction with Doc Ock, and Peter's trying to talk to the MIT admissions person or whoever she was, and the whole thing goes down, and he saves her essentially and saves a bunch of people on the bridge, kind of coloring him in a new light. So he's like kind of working to redo his public persona, trying to get back the whatever Mysterio made seem like happen. With Mysterio's claiming that Peter Parker, Spider-Man, killed him brutally, which obviously did not happen. Mysterio set the whole thing up. So that's the first kind of pull we get. Doc Ock, and he seems a little bit, very Alfred Molina pulled it out. It seemed like he didn't miss a beat from the first time we saw Doc Ock in Spider-Man 2 on the big screen. And then almost immediately we get Green Goblin. We get William Dafoe's Green Goblin come in and kind of mess some stuff up almost immediately and cause chaos. So William Dafoe kind of, I don't want to say stole the show, but really ate up his time on the screen. You kind of relish, and you kind of really want to hold on to every second that he's on the screen, because he's so, he's so terrifying on one hand, and he's like so enticing on the other. You just want to watch William Dafoe be Norman Osborn again, because it's so damn good. And never in a million years would I thought we would have seen that again. Maybe we'll see more. I don't know. Like, this whole multiverse thing opens up a lot of opportunity, gives the writers a bit of a sandbox to play in, which is always a good problem to have when you're writing. You could just kind of do whatever you want. So that was, seeing him again as Green Goblin was pretty fantastic. And then things, start to devolve from there, and we get Sandman, who's, he's not really a super villain, but he just kind of annoyed, it seems, all the time. He just wants to go hang out with his daughter. And we see that at the end of Spider-Man 3, probably the best part of Spider-Man 3. I am a fan of that movie. I think there's a lot wrong with it, but I think there's a lot that's interesting about it. But maybe we could talk about Spider-Man 3 at a different time. But Sandman should have been the true story in Spider-Man 3, and that's why I'm glad they brought him back of all the characters in that movie. And then we get into the Andrew Garfield villains. We get into Electro and Lizard. I think that's pretty much all the villains we get. And they all have, like, the whole thing is about redemption and kind of changing the path, changing your path, being in charge of your own path, more or less. We get the Spider-Mans, and they force kind of force them to change paths because they've been manipulated, or they've been kind of effed up by whatever abilities were granted to them, and it kind of scrambled their brain. In the case of Doc Ock, his brain actually got scrambled by the tentacles. So they do a good job of kind of redeeming everybody a little bit, and I really like that about it. And the entrance of Andrew Garfield was very cool. I think I'm glad they didn't overplay it. It wasn't like this big, overpronounced thing. He just kind of walked in there, literally walked from his, he walked through the scene, and there he was hanging on the ceiling, cleaning cobwebs. Very, like he didn't miss a beat. Everybody was so good in this movie. Nobody missed a beat. And then, like, a couple moments later, we get the OG, the one that I loved when I was a kid, Tobey Maguire, just walk in. He's like he's the veteran of the three. He's seen some stuff. He's been through some stuff, and seems like he continued doing the Spider-Man thing, and him and MJ are kind of working stuff out still. They're a little on the rocks, but he seems fairly content. And the three work together. I think it works so organically. There's a whole thing where Andrew Garfield Spider-Man is kind of like down in the dumps and they kind of like mess around with it because his Spider-Man isn't the most beloved Spider-Man of the bunch. So there's a couple jokes in there that I really like that kind of danced around and played with that idea. So that was really cool and really funny. But they had all these moments where they talked about how Uncle Ben passed, how Peter in that movie in No Way Home, Aunt May passes away, so he's dealing with a pretty big death himself, and so they're able to kind of console each other and kind of talk through it and see how they're different and how they're similar, and I really like that stuff. There's this scene on the top of one of the buildings, and they're just kind of talking through it. They're kind of helping each other out because they're all still kind of reeling from whatever happened in their versions of their movies. Andrew Garfield let Gwen Stacy, like, he didn't let her, but she fell and he couldn't save her. And this one, he gets to save MJ, and Andrew Garfield's face when he gets to save MJ, like, got me. It's getting me even thinking about it right now. It was just like it was this kind of like bittersweet satisfaction. He helped save this one from a very similar situation, but he just thought of Gwen Stacy immediately in that moment. So there was some really tough stuff in this movie, and I gotta say, they did a real fantastic job. I'm very happy with it. I didn't know if they were gonna be able to pull it off, but I should trust them with the like, whoever's taking care of Spider-Man is just doing a fantastic job. It's easily my favorite, Marvel superhero. I've always been a big fan of Spider-Man. I haven't been crazy about the MCU. As if you've listened to this channel for a while, the MCU always seemed kind of lukewarm to me. It seemed super safe. Like, they didn't always take the most risks, and it kind of resulted in this very kind of pastel pale kind of thing for me. But Spider-Man always, I don't know, I always felt the gravitas and like the emotion in Tom Holland's Spider-Man movies. So this was no different, and this just amplified it to another level, including, you have your nostalgia factor in there. And you have all the original people basically coming back to reprise their roles. And in some situations, reprise it as if not a day has passed from the time they originally played those characters. So really tricky for a lot of the actors, really really fantastic that they were able to all come back, because I think it made this beautiful thing that we could do in this day and age, which is, I think, remarkable, that we could, take somebody who was a Spider-Man 20 years ago and bring him back to the same kind of fanfare, and really tell a good story with him as well. So I'm really happy with No Way Home. I might go see it again. I feel like it deserves a second viewing in the theater. Maybe when the crowds die down a little bit, I'll go see it again. But I really enjoyed it. So let me know what you think. I think I'm going to give it a 5 out of 5. If we're going to do a new rating system, 5 out of 5. I really enjoyed it. Let me know what you think in the comments below. Would you like to see more of the old Spider-Man come back? Or is this good enough? Do you think this is a good ending for Tom Holland Spider-Man? Let me know what your thoughts are, and I'll catch you guys very soon. Thanks for watching.